Welcome back. In today's lecture, I am going to talk about the Lipschitz property of a function. Okay, and what we have observed in the previous class, that I have some kind of mathematical equation, and typically we are telling this mathematical equation as a state equation in the case of whenever we are dealing with some kind of physical system. So I have non-autonomous system. Either you can write t here or not write, that doesn't matter, because whenever I am writing x dot, we are assuming t is implicit here. And this problem is also called initial value problem, because initial condition is given to me, and after that what we are expecting that we have unique solution from this initial condition. Okay, so solution exists and that is also unique. And what we found in the previous lecture, that requirement, typical requirement for that function ftx to be piecewise continuous in t. Okay, so please be careful, we are just talking about piecewise continuity in terms of t, and I have told you that whenever I have time varying input, then a step change is also allowed. So that kind of things we want to introduce inside the system. Due to that reason, we are assuming that function ftx is piecewise continuous in t. So we have actually relaxed our assumption. And after that, second requirement, that is very important requirement, that is local Lipschitzness in x over the domain of interest. Suppose that if you see the dynamical system, so what happens? Suppose I have some system like x dot equal to fx, just you can consider the autonomous system, and here suppose x belongs to R2. So this system, mathematical model of this system, we are telling that is valid everywhere. But if you see the nonlinear system, most of nonlinear system has some kind of restricted domain where this mathematical model is valid. And due to that reason, we are telling that whenever we have some nonlinear system, their mathematical model is only reasonable in this particular area, that is called domain D. So there is no need to worry about the whole space. We have to just worry where mathematical model is valid. Okay, so in terms of physical example, you try to understand that. Suppose that if I consider some kind of power converter, so, and suppose I have typical requirement of voltage and current. So we are assuming that value of current is not going to exceed for some value for practical application. Similar story about the voltage. Okay, so whenever I have nonlinear system, at that time we are going to check local Lipschitzness condition over the domain of interest. Domain of interest means I am not worrying about whole space, I am just going to worry x belongs to D and D is subset of R2 for this particular system. One more important point you have to understand here. In this particular system, since I have considered the non-autonomous system ftx, and due to that reason I am telling that piecewise continuity with respect to time. But suppose if I have just autonomous system, then first requirement is no longer required, because right hand side is now just function of x, that is not explicit function of t. Okay, I hope that you are able to understand this point. So if I have autonomous system, just you have to check this second condition. If you have non-autonomous system, then you have to check both condition 1 and condition 2. Okay, so let us try to see that how to define this Lipschitz constant, and particularly I am just worrying about the local Lipschitzness, and after that I will extend this notion to global Lipschitzness or Lipschitzness inside a set. So what I am telling, a function, and again this function is has argument t, time argument, as well as x. So defined for this t, but we are telling that here t is going to lie on this real line. So for mathematician time is also negative, but for us that is always positive. So we are telling that now I am going to consider some kind of interval. So J is interval, means subset of real number. Okay, so T belongs to J and that subset of real number, means time is still real, but we are just looking towards solution between T0 to T1, and due to that reason I am worrying about the Lipschitz constant between these two interval. So piecewise continuity between these two interval. So a function f(t(x) defined for T subset of means belongs to J subset of R is locally Lipschitz in X at a point x0. You can see that I am just going to consider Lipschitz condition about a point. Okay, so how to conform the Lipschitz condition about a point? I have to create one neighborhood. Okay, and in order to create neighborhood, again I need the concept of the norm or concept of distance, because I have some point in higher dimensional space, and what I am going to do, I am going to check the behavior of this point in this open set. Okay, and you have seen that how to define the open set. So open set is defined like this. So please check the definition. I have already given the definition of open set in the previous class. So this is nothing but some kind of open set about this point where center is x0 and radius is r. Okay, so now what we are going to do, suppose that if I have to check Lipschitz constant x0 about this point, so I am not worrying about the other part, I am just going to worry about the neighborhood of x0. So I have defined neighborhood like this. So this is also called some kind of ball in higher dimensional space, you can tell. And what we are telling, we have a positive constant L such that this will satisfy the Lipschitz. This condition is called Lipschitz condition. We have already seen this condition. So you can see here that ftx, fty. So what we are going to do inside this ball, I am going to select 2 points x and y. So corresponding to this point, and time is here, so I have first function and after that second function. So I am going to see the distance between these two functions. If that is less than equal to L, and here in right hand side you can see that there is no dependency of time, and L is independent of t as well as x. Okay, so I am telling that L is some kind of constant quantity, and if this relation is true for all over the ball, then we are telling that this L is the Lipschitz constant, and obviously this should be true for all t, that is subset of J. Okay, and here you can take any norm, but explicitly most of time whenever we are calculating the Lipschitz constant, we are taking two norms. But in finite dimensional space it is possible to show that all norm is equivalent, and idea is the same like distance. Either you can measure distance in meter and centimeter or decimeter, it is possible to convert one another, and this is true only for finite dimensional space. In infinite dimensional space all norms are not equal, but in finite dimensional space all norms are equal, means either you can calculate two norm or infinity norm. It is possible to show that one can establish relation between two norm and infinity norm. Okay, so any norm is okay here. Now let us come to the some more point about the Lipschitz constant, that what we are telling, that ftx is locally Lipschitz in X on a domain. Now what we are we have to show, just in the previous definition I have talked about the Lipschitzness about a one point. But suppose if my mathematical model is valid in some domain, I have already told you that this is our validity of domain of mathematical model. So I have to make sure that our function is locally Lipschitz inside this domain or not. So only one point is not enough, I have to check every point inside this domain. Okay, so each and every point I have to construct some neighborhood, and after that we have to check that there exists L or not. If every point previous condition, whatever condition I have written here, this condition is satisfied, then we can tell that function f(x) is locally Lifshitz inside this domain D. And you can see that whenever we are writing domain, we are writing open and connected. Why we are writing open and connected? I have already told you that in order to check the Lifshitzness, I have to generate some kind of neighborhood. And how basically we are developing neighborhood or generating neighborhood using a help of open set. And due to that reason, whenever we are considering the domain, at that time inherent assumption is that that set is open, and after that connected means you can take any arc between 2 points, then that is going to lie inside that set only. That is the meaning. Okay, now we know that how to define Lifshitzness, local Lifshitzness about a point and on a domain. Now third one, suppose that I have to define Lifshitzness on a set, and suppose that set is W. Okay, so what we have to make sure that for all W there exists a L, and that is same for all W. Okay, so whenever we are defining local Lifshitzness about a domain, at that time we are not restricting that same L should be satisfied. We are just restricting that there exists a L. Okay, so L may be different at different point, but whenever we are talking about Lifshitzness on a set W, at that time we are searching for single L. So suppose that I have some domain or I have some kind of set, and in this particular set I have infinite many point, and I have checked or I have calculated L for each and every point. Okay, so if you consider the maxima among all, then it is possible to show that L is valid for every neighborhood. In that way I can give guarantee that for all W inside this set W there exists a L. Anyone has confusion on this? So suppose that I have L1 equal to 5 here, L1 equal to 7 here, L1 equal to 9 here, then I will select largest value among that, and after that I am telling that if L is 9, then local Lifshitzness is satisfy here and satisfy here. Okay, now you can see that next definition, what we are telling that a locally Lifshitz on D, Lifshitz on every closed and bounded subset of D. What basically we are telling that if something is Lifshitz, then now you can actually make any closed and bounded set. Closed meaning of closed set, if there exists a sequence, then that is going to converge somewhere inside this. Okay, and bounded, it means that means set X is bounded when they will satisfy this kind of relation for all X, and X is basically lying inside this subset S. Okay, so this is obvious. If something is locally Lifshitz, then we are telling that Lifshitz on every compact set. So you can construct any compact set inside this, that is actually Lifshitz. And a function is globally Lifshitz. Globally, whenever we are telling, then we are giving guarantee that Lifshitz condition is going to hold for all Rn. Okay, so now what I am telling, I am not worrying about this region. I am going to extend this region up to infinity, and if there exists some kind of L that is valid everywhere, then that is called globally Lifshitz. Okay, now let us try to see the interpretation. What is interpretation? Basic interpretation. In the previous class I have already given you some idea. So if you see Lifshitz condition for the first order system, again I am going to repeat the Lifshitz condition, Fy minus Fx. So, and I have considered here just a autonomous case, means not a non-autonomous case, because most of time Lifshitzness is related to the state only. So I have L, and after that y minus x. So this is a story about the higher dimension. Now suppose if we are in one dimension, then this norm is replaced by absolute value, because whatever notion of absolute value in one dimensional space, that is extended in higher dimensional space by norm. Okay, it means that I can measure distance in one dimensional space using the help of absolute value. We are doing that. So I can now, since this is some kind of number, so I can take that number here and try to interpret this fy minus fx and y minus x. Suppose if y is tending towards x, so I can tell that this is nothing but slope. So I can interpret like this. Suppose I have this point x and y, and corresponding to this I have function fy, fx and fy. Then meaning of this is nothing but we are telling that whatever slope of this is less than L. Okay, so what does it mean? Now you can consider some function like this that is below this, then that will satisfy this kind of condition. Anyone has confusion? So, but please be careful. So here you can see that I am telling that okay, in this place I am not assuming that limit always y tending towards x. So I am not talking about differentiability, but we are telling that okay, even if y tending towards x, then also this condition is satisfied. So if something is differentiable, then there exists L. But if something is not differentiable, it might possible there also exists Ax. Okay. Anyone has confusion on this? Then please let me know. Are you able to distinguish between Lipschitzness and differentiability? Binay?
Yes.
Are you able to distinguish between Lipschitzness in one dimension and differentiability? Whenever we are talking about differentiability, at that time we are using limit y tending towards x. Okay, but here I am not talking about that. We are talking about general condition fy minus fx and y minus x. So that is valid for even if x and y is largely separated. Okay. So what basically we are telling that any function fx that has infinite slope at some point is not locally Lipschitz at that point. Okay, because when y tending towards x, that will also represent the differentiability. So if something derivative is infinity, then obviously since I am going to search L as a some kind of number which is less than infinity, it means that that is finite number. So if slope is going to infinity, then I can tell that Lipschitzness is not going to exist. Okay, and provided for that I have to make sure that whatever function I am going to consider, that should be differentiable. Even if I have told you that even if function is not differentiable, still I can calculate the Lipschitzness. Okay, because here I am not only allowing y tending towards x. Okay, so basic idea is that suppose if I have some kind of linear system, I know that there exists a solution, closed form solution. So what basically people are trying to establish, that this is nothing but vector field. So x and x dot means rate of change of something we are defining. So they are telling that okay, if rate of change is less than something, then less than this linear function, then I can approximate the solution by this solution. Okay, are you able to understand my point or not? What basically I am telling, suppose x dot equal to x, I know how to solve linear equation. Now what we are telling that whenever I have non-linear equation, I can tell that okay, I cannot able to solve it exactly, but whatever upper estimate of solution, this is not go beyond this. Okay. Now if you understood this point, now try to understand that if I am in higher dimensional space, then what happens? Okay, I will come to that point. Before that, I will give you one example, that fx is x 1 power 3. So in previous class we have seen that if I have this kind of differential equation where x belongs to R, then I have two solutions. One solution from origin, and I am assuming x0 equal to 0, and another solution is 2t by 3 and power 1 by 3, if I remember correctly. Please check it. So I have two solutions from x equal to 0. And why two solution? Why not unique solution? It is possible to show that this will not satisfy the Lipschitz condition, even if that is continuous in x. But you can see that f dash x, as x tending towards 0, slope is infinity. Okay, so I have continuous function, but slope as x tending towards 0 is infinity. It means that x equal to 0, there do not exist the Lipschitz constant. Okay, and since Lipschitz constant is violated, and due to that reason, I am telling that I cannot give sufficient conditions such that there exists a unique solution. Okay, anyone has confusion on this point? Then please let me know. Okay, if you understood this point, then I am going to talk about next point. Now what I am telling that fx is continuous at point x0, then fx is locally Lipschitz at the same point. And why basically we are telling that continuity implies the Lipschitzness? Because if you see the definition of continuity, what basically we are telling that in order to talk about continuity, if I have some function f, and suppose this is set one set and another set, so continuity between two sets I have defined that. Suppose if I have to talk about continuity about this point x0, so what we are going to do, we are going to map this to fx0, and after that I am going to create some ball that is of epsilon ball. So for every epsilon there exists greater than 0, there exists a delta that is function of epsilon and x0, because we are going to talk about continuity at x0. We are going to define continuity at x0 such that x minus x0 and norm of this less than delta implies fx0 less than epsilon, like that we have defined. So you can see that somehow what we are telling, if you are remains in this boundary here, then you are going to remain inside this. Okay, so somehow continuity implies the boundedness, and whenever continuity implies the boundedness, it is possible to show that there exists some common L such that I can tell that fx minus fy, since some constant is there, so that is nothing but Lipschitz constant. So now let us try to see that what we are telling that since I am talking about continuity of f dash x, ensure f dash x is bounded by some constant k in the neighborhood of x0, so that is the Lipschitz constant. Okay, so what we are telling that please be careful, I am talking about Lipschitzness of f dash x, I am not talking about Lipschitzness of fx. So we are telling here somehow this f dash x and f dash x and f dash x0. Okay, so we are talking about, suppose I have fx and I have created the differentiability of that, and then we are going to talk about the continuity. Okay, because why we are telling that existence of constant, you can see here that in this place fy minus fx by y minus x is somehow equivalent to the slope. Okay, so now whenever I have to calculate the Lipschitz constant, first we are going to check the slope. Okay, so and how to check the slope? I have to see the continuity of this function. So continuity of f dash, not fx. So I have missed that point. Means I am going to talk about continuity of f dash x. Okay, so because Lipschitz constant is equivalent to the differentiability of this function. Okay, so if this function is continuously differentiable, it means that there exists some kind of bond. If that is continuously not differentiable, at that time I cannot give guarantee that there exists a bond. Okay, and that is obvious from this particular definition. What I am going to do, I am going to define some mapping f dash, so which going to map x0 to f dash, and after that what I am telling that I am going to create mapping from x0 to f dash, and due to continuity I can tell that f dash x remains bonded, and since Lipschitz constant is nothing but the bond of f dash x, so whatever value of this same value, same constant is Lipschitz constant. Anyone has confusion on this? Then please let me know. Iram Taslima, are you able to understand my point, what I am telling?
Yes, sir.
What we are telling that if something is differentiable, okay, so I have to check the slope, and whatever slope, that is the Lipschitz constant. Now suppose I have some function fx and f dash x is continuous. What does it mean? That f dash x is bonded, okay, and bonded by some number k, so that is nothing but Lipschitz constant. Okay, now let us try to understand the physical interpretation of the derivative in higher dimensional space. Okay, so suppose that if I have some function in one dimensional space, then I can tell that okay, differentiability here, that is nothing but slope at this point. Okay, so Silpi, could you please tell me that what is interpretation of the derivative whenever we are in higher dimensional space? This is a story about one dimensional space we have learned during our school time. Now what I am telling, suppose I have x and y, two axes, and I have some kind of function now in two dimensional space. This is function of x and y. So could you please tell me that what is geometrical interpretation of derivative? Silpi, are you here?
Yes, sir.
So please tell me quickly if you have some idea. Iram Taslima?
Sir, it is the rate of change of function with some with respect to a variable.
So I am just telling what kind of geometrical shape we have. So suppose if I am taking
Tangent to that point, sir.
so tangent, how to calculate that is unique. Suppose that if you have some kind of ball kind of structure, and if from one point how many tangent I can draw?
Sir,
Infinite, obviously
yes,
infinite,
yes.
because direction, because infinite many line going to touch that particular point. If I have some kind of ball kind of structure, if I have two dimensional structure, then only one point. Okay, I am agree. But suppose if I have ball, then infinite many point. It means that at one point I am telling infinite many derivative exist. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
So it means that in higher dimensional derivative concept is not unique.
Yes, sir.
So then that is contradiction, no? Suppose that whatever derivative you are going to construct in higher dimensional, and your friend is going to construct in higher dimensional, that is become different. Then what is interpretation? So interpretation is like this: I am going to find best linear approximation about this point. Okay, so that is nothing but some kind of linear transformation, and we are going to find some kind of surface here, and you can see that that surface has a specific orientation, okay, about this particular point, and that is nothing but given by Jacobian matrix, and that is related to again linearization. Okay, so whenever we are doing linearization at that point, at some point, what basically we are doing, we are finding the Jacobian. Okay, so basically we are going to find best linear approximation about that point, and that is always unique, because suppose that if you are linearizing some system about some point, we are not telling that is non-unique, that is unique. Okay, so meaning is that we are going to find some kind of matrix, derivative in form of matrix, that is some kind of transformation. Okay, so what basically I am telling, suppose that if you have some function like f1x, x1 dot equal to f1x, and x2 dot equal to f2x, and you are going to find the approximation of this function about some point, you might have seen that we have some kind of matrix, and after that x1 x2, something like that. Okay, so somehow this matrix is telling me that how much I have to rotate about this point, and what is best linear approximation. Okay, so physical interpretation of the derivative in higher dimensional space is the best linear approximation about that point. Anyone has confusion on this interpretation? And how basically we are calculating that best linear transformation? Using the help of Jacobian. From the Taylor series approximation, we have already found that the best linear approximation about this point is nothing but Jacobian matrix. Okay, and due to that reason, now I can interpret derivative at some point in higher dimensional with the help of Jacobian. And due to that reason, next remark come into picture. What we are telling, suppose I have that function is piecewise continuous t for time t, that is piecewise continuous in J, and x belongs to this domain, and the function ftx and its partial derivative are continuous. So whenever partial derivative are continuous, what does it mean? In previous theorem, in one dimension, in previous remark, you can see that if fx just belong to one dimension, at that time we are talking about the derivative of f dash x, because here I am explicitly assuming that fx belongs to R. That kind of assumption I have. So I can easily calculate derivative, that is nothing but tangent, and after that I am going to talk about the continuity of this slope, and continuity of that slope talk about the boundedness in the neighborhood of x0. Now we know that physical interpretation of derivative in higher dimensional, that is equivalent to best linear approximation, that is given by Jacobian. So if you just make sure that Jacobian is continuous, then I can able to give guarantee that there exists a Lipschitz constant. And same kind of things I have written here, that the function fx and its partial derivative is continuous. Why continuity of function is required? Anyone, could you please tell me? Nidhi, could you please tell me why I am talking about continuity of function? Binay? Iram Taslima?
Sir, because we can talk about boundedness if it is continuous.
No, bondedness. Bondedness because in order to calculate Lipschitz constant, you can see that I am just worrying about the bondedness of this local bondedness of this partial derivative. But why ftx? Continuity of ftx is required. Could you please tell me that if this is not continuous, then is it possible to calculate this?
No, sir.
Due to that reason. Okay. Anyone has confusion on this? Some function is continuous, then only I can hope that that is differentiable now. Due to that reason, this kind of condition is obvious. So I hope that you are able to understand that how to define local Lipschitzness in case of higher dimension. If function ftx and their partial derivative is continuous, then I can tell that that is locally Lipschitz in some domain x equal to d. Okay. Now next thing is that whenever we are talking about global Lipschitzness, at that time again I am going to talk about ftx and dou f by dou xj. Now what we are going to do, we are going to make sure that that is continuous everywhere. Continuous everywhere means that is same constant. Means whenever we are going to talk about continuity, at that time same epsilon is going to exist for all x. Okay, anyone has confusion on this? Because continuity of this, how basically we are defining continuity? For every epsilon there exists a delta, and after that this epsilon should be valid everywhere. Okay, if that is true, then that is globally Lipschitz. Okay, and I have written that kind of things only. Dou f by dou x are globally bounded uniformly in T. Why uniformly in T? Because Lipschitz constant should be independent of time and x. So globally bounded means that should be not dependent on x as well as time t. Up to here, anyone has confusion? Okay, if you don't have confusion, then let us try to see the next remark. Next remark is that Lipschitz property of continuous function is stronger than continuity. So if fx is Lipschitz, then it is uniformly continuous. Anyone has confusion on this? So So idea is very simple. What we found, that if some function f is differentiable, then differentiability is equal to the Lipschitz constant. Okay, and differentiability is the stronger property than continuity. Okay, if something is differentiable, then obviously that is continuous. Okay, due to that reason also Lipschitz constant looks like a stronger property. But suppose some function is not continuously differentiable, then what is remark? Remark is that since we are talking about the fy minus fx, and after that ly minus x, something like this, you can see that. And whenever we are talking about continuity, at that time what we are telling, that for every epsilon greater than 0 there exists a delta that is depending on epsilon, and if you see delta ball, that is y minus x less than delta, and after that I have something like delta, and then that will imply less than epsilon. Here epsilon is there, so I will write, then things become more transparent. So less than epsilon, and here delta is function of epsilon. So you can see here y minus x, if I select, or if I select epsilon here, so I can find delta by epsilon by L. Anyone has confusion? So if I select L by epsilon by L, then you can see that automatically continuity condition is satisfied. Anyone has confusion or not? So delta, if I select epsilon by L, delta equal to epsilon by L, so you can see that automatically continuity condition is satisfied. Due to that reason we are telling that Lipschitz property is stronger than continuity. So if something is Lipschitz, then obviously that is continuous. Anyone has confusion? Okay, if you don't have confusion, then I will come to the converse. Converse, suppose this something is uniformly continuous. So is it possible to give guarantee that is Lipschitz? What do you think, Iram?
No, sir.
No, because you can see that I have generated one counter example, fx, and this particular fx is continuous, but that is not Lipschitz. Okay. Now, what I am going to do, I am going to check that differentiability, continuous differentiability is stronger or weaker. So obviously that is weaker, because what I have told you, that even if some function is continuously differentiable, then obviously that is Lipschitz. Okay, but even if that is not continuously differentiable, then also that is Lipschitz. We will see using the example. So what we are telling, that Lipschitzness property is weaker than the continuity. Okay, so continuity is stronger than, means Lipschitzness is stronger than the continuity but weaker than the differentiability. Okay, now let us try to come to some practical example, and we are going to trying to estimate the Lipschitz constant. Okay, so in one dimension case things are very easy. If fx is differentiable, you can just see the differentiability. Okay, and from that we can guess the Lipschitz constant. Okay, but for higher dimensional case I have to see things little bit more proper way. Okay, suppose that I have this second order system, and why I have taken this kind of system. So physical motivation is like that. Suppose that two students came to one hostel room. Okay, and it might possible that one of a student are very stable and one are unstable. It is possible to show that after some time both students become unstable or both students become stable. Okay, so I have two different cases, that one student is stable and another is unstable, and after that due to interaction it might possible that both become stable or both become unstable. So suppose I have a student x1, and when something is stable, I am assuming that whenever some tension comes into picture, they are going to forget that tension, or whenever pressure comes, somehow they manage the pressure. So they have converging dynamics. Okay, another one is diverging, So I have assumed like this. Why I am telling this is converging and this is diverging? You have seen that solution of x dot equal to x is xt0 e power alpha t. Alpha is here 1, so this is e power t. Okay, so if alpha is negative, then that is converging, otherwise it is diverging. So I have two students. After that, what I am telling, that if they start interacting with each other, then I am assuming that there exists complex coupling between these two. So I have added two terms. So suppose I am going to now see the model when both become stable, or at least this stable guy become little more unstable, and this also become little more stable, like that. So what I am going to do, I am going to add some kind of instability here, and here I am going to subtract some kind of instability, and that is interaction of these two. So that is somehow mathematical model of this. Anyone has confusion on this, then please let me know. Have you understood the interpretation of this model? Okay, now you can see that fx is continuously differentiable, right hand side of this. So f1 is continuously differentiable with respect to x1 and x2, and f2 is also continuously differentiable in x1 and x2. And if something is continuously differentiable, we have already seen that is locally Lipschitz. But I do not know how to calculate local Lipschitzness for time being. But this is not globally Lipschitz, because if you calculate df by dx2, then that is df by dx2, then you can see that here what happens, df by dx2, then x1 comes into picture, and x1 is not bounded because we are in R2, so we are not in closed domain, and due to that region, that is not globally Lipschitz. Now something is locally Lipschitz, then I can tell that in any compact set, that is also locally Lipschitz, and due to that region I have constructed some kind of set, and closed set is like this. X1, I am telling that state x1 is bounded by A and x2 is bounded by A. So I have two-dimensional space, but I am assuming, okay guy, my trajectory is only going to remain inside this interval, and this interval x1 is bonded like this and x2 is going to bonded like this. So it is possible to show, now I can find the Lipschitz constant. So how to find the Lipschitz constant? So you can see that I have to solve this equation fy minus fx, and norm of this less than equal to L y minus x or x minus y, whatever you want, and you can use any norm. So suppose if I will use two norm. So two norm, in order to write two norm, you can see that whenever we are going to write this, then we are going to write f1x minus f1y square plus f2x minus f2y square. Anyone has confusion? Now what I am going to do, I am going to calculate f1x from here. What basically we are doing, I am taking 2 points in this space W. So here this point I am telling that x1 y1 x1 x2, and this is y1 y2. Okay, so everywhere whenever I have this kind of dynamics, so you can substitute x1 x2, and whenever whenever we are here, we can substitute in place of x1 I am going to substitute by y1, and in place of x2 I am going to substitute by x2, and due to that reason you can see that obviously this kind of things comes into picture. Similar story for this. Now what I am going to do, I am going to see the inequality. So if I have this kind of things, so I can able to write like this. So this is a very simple straightforward calculation, and you can see that I am assuming that x1 is bounded by A. So due to that reason I am writing A here, and x2 minus y2. Similarly y2 is bounded by A. I have already assumed that x and from here to both state is bounded by A. So and I have taken x and y here. So if x1 is bonded, then corresponding y1 is also bonded. If x2 is bonded, then corresponding y2 is also bonded. So all state variable is going to bond by A only, and due to that reason I can use this kind of inequality, same kind of number here, and after that the multiplication of this, one can also show AB equal to half A square plus B square, that kind of inequality. Most of time during school time we are using this kind of inequality, and after that we will solve this. So please check it, and it is possible to show. Now a square of this is a square of this, so you have to take a square root on both hand side. then 1 plus 2a, that is nothing but this bracketed quantity is the Lipschitz constant. In this way I can solve the Lipschitz constant. Anyone has confusion? So now quickly I can go to the second example. So second example, what I am going to assume that I have linear control system U. So I have designed feedback first like this. Suppose I have information of both states, so I have designed like this. You might have seen that most of time x1 and x2 I cannot apply control any value of control, even if x1 and x2 can evolve anywhere, but whenever we are applying control to some system, there exists a actuator, and actuator has always some kind of restriction. So there exists some kind of saturation function. It means that after some value of the control I cannot able to apply that control to the physical system, because actuator has certain kind of limitation. Actuator like DC motor you can take or any other. So there always exists some kind of saturation. After that things is not going to update. Okay, and due to that reason now this system is no longer linear. That become once saturation function comes into picture, then system become non-linear. Okay, so since homogeneity and additivity is not going to satisfy, due to that reason I am telling, and saturation function it is possible to show, or you can write like this, saturation function is like this, something like this. So if you see the bond of saturation function, then that is always bonded like this, and due to that reason I have written like this kind of inequality. I hope that you will understand this. And again I have to check this inequality one, fx minus fy, and again in place of x is nothing but I have two dimensions, so x1 x2, and here y is y1 y2. You can do, and after that now you have to just show that there exists some L. So you have to express everything in terms of Ly minus x. Okay, and you know that what is meaning of y minus x, because y1 y2 you have and x1 x2 you have. So in last you have to show that this is y1 minus y2 square and x1 y1 minus x1 square and y2 minus x2 square. That kind of things you have to show. So we are going to use this kind of inequality. I can express this in terms of matrix also, please check it. And after that it is possible to show by Rayleigh inequality. I will discuss Rayleigh inequality in next part of this course. So Rayleigh inequality is telling that just you can consider the maximum value of this, and after that a square of this, then that is less than equal to this. And by this calculation it is possible to show that there exists AL. Okay, so please check this calculation again. Okay, and it is possible to show that one can also solve this inequality by another way. And if you solve the inequality by another way, means if I will use like this, a square 2ab plus 2b square. So what I am going to do, I am going to substitute this value and this value 2ab equal to a square plus b square, less than equal to a square plus b square. So I am going to add 1a square here, 1b square here. So I have this kind of things, and after that 3a square and b square. And a and b, if you see from here, from this expression, from this particular expression, so that is nothing but x1 minus y1 square. This I have defined as a and this I have defined as a b. So automatically I have now Lipschitz constant L equal to root 3 like this. Okay, so what kind of things I am going to talk here, that Lipschitz constant is not unique. Okay, that is non-unique. And why that is non-unique? Because it is possible to show that I have to establish some kind of inequality here. Okay, so inequality, if something is true less than 3, so that is also less than 4, less than 5, less than 6. Due to that reason, based on our inequality, I have different L. But if something is Lipschitz, then there always exists some kind of L. Okay, so up to here we are talking about the Lipschitz condition. Now quickly I am going to tell you that what is role of the Lipschitz condition. We have already proved all kind of lemma. So in previous class what we have seen that what is meaning of local existence and uniqueness of solution. So what I have told that if ftx is piecewise continuous in T and locally Lipschitz in X, then it is possible to show that from any initial condition x0 I have some kind of unique solution between t0 to t0. So now suppose you have this system like this and x0 equal to 1. So let us try to check that why this solution is local, because I have already told you that in this case, as t tending towards 1, I have finite escape time. So solution is only exist between 0 to 1. So try to check that why solution is only exist locally, because you can see that right hand side fx is x square, and how basically we are calculating the Lipschitz constant by taking the derivative, that is 2x, and you can see that x is bounded only, means this f dash is equal to L, so L equal to 2x, and L is bounded only when x is bounded, and due to that reason what we are telling that if x lie in some finite interval, then I can only able to find the Lipschitz. So this is local Lipschitzness, and local Lipschitzness implies local solution. And after that, second thing is telling that if in place of local Lipschitzness, if I have global Lipschitzness and all other condition, piecewise continuity condition is satisfied, then this state equation has unique solution over t0 to t1, and one can extend this t1 to infinity also. Okay, so whenever we have some kind of global Lipschitzness condition in x, and t is like this, if t0, if t1 is up to infinity, then I have unique solution up to infinity also. And now you can see that if I have some kind of linear system like this, and if I have some kind of perturbation in domain of t, okay, so if I have linear time varying system, and why solution always exists, one can check from here, and only one condition is that we have to make sure that since piecewise continuous in t, so at should be bounded by L for all t greater than equal to t0. That is the condition from piecewise continuity in t. So even if time varying system is affected by any time varying disturbance, solution will always exist. So I can, using that theorem, I can give the guarantee. Another theorem, what they are telling that suppose ftx is piecewise continuous in t and locally Lipschitz in x, then also in any compact set, I have constructed some kind of compact set inside this domain. So what basically theorem telling that if something is locally Lipschitz inside this, then what you can do, you can construct one kind of subset inside this set, and if this subset is compact, means closed and bounded, then if initial condition started from here, then solution always exists inside this. That kind of things they are telling. So using local Lipschitzness and by imposing the compactness, I can again tell the solution for all t greater than equal to t0, unique solution. Okay, and for that what I have done, I have taken very simple example. You can see here x dot equal to x cube. Again x cube is not globally Lipschitz, because why? Differentiation you can check 3x square, so that is depending on x. So if x remains bounded, then that is locally Lipschitz. Suppose if you consider this kind of compact set, x mod x less than equal to mod a, then that is locally Lipschitz. But if a is very very large, then I cannot tell that is Lipschitz. So this is locally Lipschitz. Now what I am telling, since I have one dimensional system, and if I have this set, whatever set I have constructed, you can see that if my initial condition is here, so rate of change is negative, so I can move in this direction. If my initial condition is here, rate of change is positive, so I can move here. It means that I am not going to leave this set. So what happens, this set is compact, and if you start inside this, you are going to remain inside this, and due to that reason, for all t greater than equal to t0, you have unique solution exists, and that is also unique. Okay, so by Lipschitz condition I can check three things. One thing, that local existence of uniqueness of solution by checking the piecewise continuity, as well as I am going to talk about the local Lipschitzness. In order to talk about the global existence and uniqueness of solution, I have to check the piecewise continuity, and after that I have to check one more thing, that global Lipschitzness over the whole space. And suppose most of time in nonlinear case, it is very difficult to check global Lipschitzness. So what is main idea, that for nonlinear system, since nonlinear model is only valid inside some compact set most of the time, due to that reason we are not worrying about whole state space. We are just going to check the Lipschitzness constant inside that region, inside that domain, and if that is locally Lipschitz, and if initial condition remains inside compact set, it means that future solution is not going to leave that set, then we can tell that we have solution for all t greater than equal to t0. So that is the story of the today's lecture. So due to that reason, in order to ensure existence and uniqueness, sufficient condition of existence and uniqueness of the autonomous system as well as non-autonomous system, role of Lipschitz condition is very, very important. So if you have any question, then please let me know. Or you can ask in the next class also, because now you have another class. So please ask me in next class. Okay, so thank you very much.